Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've been wanting to play this all week, but I've been really busy, so I'm really glad that we get to play this now. Okay, so this is called Lads in Distress. It's basically a game where you're playing as Princess Charming and you're genderbended, saving the other princesses who are now princes. So, I also really like the word lads, so we're gonna go save some lads, shall we? I found a concentration as I carefully tilt the bottle just enough to add a single drop to the pot. This is a really pretty game. There's a loud sizzle and I watch with a satisfied smile as the liquid in the pot turns a cloudy blue. Oh, whoops. A knock on the door cuts my celebration short. I scowl in annoyance at the sudden interruption, although I'm super cute and I look like Princess Bubblegum. You may not come in. I am sassy. The door creaks as they completely ignore my order and enter the room. You wound me, Charming. At his voice, I turn around with a smile. I'm greeted at the sight of my best friend, his hands clasped over his chest in a dramatic gesture. I mirror his teasing grin and threaten him playfully. You know, I could have your head off for disobeying my command blatantly like that. I drag my finger across my throat for emphasis and wink cheerily at him. Nichols' eyes widen comically and he staggers backwards in an exaggerated manner, making me snort at his performance. He abruptly drops to act and flashes me a good-natured grin. You wouldn't. You're too fond of me to have me executed. It's true. Nicholas has been my best friend for as long as I can remember. He's a mere 2 months older than me, and we've always been together, even as babies, which I think is really cute because they even have, like, complementary colors to each other. His father used to be my teacher for magic and potions making, and as a result, he was allowed to live in the palace with his family. Since there weren't many kids in the palace, Nicole and I easily became friends, and partners in crime for many mischievous adventures that always got us into trouble. What potion are you making? Nico strides forward and peers into the pot. Let me guess, an invisibility potion? It's looking good. Of course, I would expect nothing less from a student of mine. I make a face at him when he guffaws at his own words. Ever since Nicole took over as my tutor after his father retired, he's been making teasing remarks whenever possible about his new elevated status. He conveniently leaves out the fact that I can count the number of lessons he's taught me on one hand, because I'm as good as magic at him. As good as him in magic, despite the fact that he's half fairy and magic is in his blood. Do you have an actual purpose coming here, or did you come to just laugh at me? Oh, thanks for the reminder. I almost forgot. I'm here with a message from the king and queen. My smile falls and I turn my back to him, fixating my attention on the potion in front of me. I reach for the nearest drawer of ingredients and start examining it, pretending to be busy. That can wait. As you can see, I'm in the middle of something important. You know full well how disastrous the consequences can be to mess up even a single step while making potions. But that won't happen because you're Princess Charming. You didn't make novice mistakes like that. I can't help but smile with pride. Oh, I'm so cute! Of course. The glint of amusement in Nichols' eyes immediately rouses my suspicion. Why are you looking at me like that? The realization that Nicole has tricked me into belying myself slowly dawns on me. I briefly consider making up another excuse to avoid this conversation, but I decide against it in the end. I can't run away from this forever. I might as well get this over with. Well, you successfully softened me up with some flattery. What does the message say? Nicole holds out a scroll towards me. After a moment of hesitation, I take it from him. What's this? It's a list of all the guests that will be attending the royal ball next week. It still needs your approval. I snort and toss the scroll aside without sparing it a single glance. My approval. My approval doesn't really even matter, does it? Charming, I know this is unpleasant and unfair for... Definitely. I'm glad you know it too. You? But you know that your parents would never have asked this of you if you could have been avoided. We tried every alternative, even good... He pauses, as though catching himself from saying something he wasn't supposed to. I make a mental note to ask him about this later. The kingdom needs this. We need you. I chew in the inside of my cheek for a moment, struggling internally. Frankly speaking, the idea of getting tied down at such a young age... Alright, 18 isn't that young, but still, too young for marriage in my book terrifies me. I don't want to be married off. This is my duty as a princess. I have to save my people. How could I ever refuse to help people in need, especially when they're my people? I know. That is the only reason I'm going through with this. Fine, I'll take a look at the list. Eventually. Though I doubt my disapproval of some guests being invited would change anything. I'm still getting married off to a random noble I meet at the ball. Does it really matter who we invite? Well, just look at a list whenever you can. Your parents also want me to inform you that you should stay away from the men whose names on the list are circled. My curiosity is reluctantly piqued. Who? Why invite him to the ball in the first place, then? Nickel doesn't answer, giving me a playful smile. Inwardly, I curse at how well Nickel knows me and how well he can play me as a result, using my curiosity to his advantage. Alright, you win. I'll do as I was asked, but only on the condition that you will answer any questions I have. Nickel's smile grows wider as he bows deeply. You drive a hard bargain, Your Highness. I accept your terms. You know where to find me when you need me. Oh, now you remember your manners and act like a loyal, subservient subject, after sneakily manipulating me into agreement. Nickel gives out a loud laugh and turns to leave the room. Right before he reaches the door, he pauses and mumbles something so quietly that I almost missed it. I'm sorry. With that, Nickel walks away, leaving me in my feels. I glare down into the cauldron. If my memory serves me right, truth serums are supposed to be the color of obsidian, not vomit. I give an angry scowl and kick the side of the cauldron. Work already, you pathetic thing. I don't understand. Reverse engineering potions may be considered difficult, but I've never had trouble with this. Normally I could create the perfect mixture with my eyes closed. Sighing, I wrest a vial of fairy tears off the nearby shelf for another attempt. I tilt it above the cauldron and pour in a single drop. I should prepare myself for marriage. But when I look down at my hands, the entire vial is empty. A curse escapes my mouth as I peer down the cauldron once more, wincing at the disaster. The liquid is exponentially more disgusting, which is progress in its own way. I'm so grossed out that I start laughing incredulously at myself. I just stand there and go, ha, ha, ha. Clearly, this is not a good day for me. I turn to the bookshelf and quickly scan through the rows of books, looking for Nickel's potion-making journal. Thankfully, I have no trouble finding it. When I reach up to grab it off the shelf, a long sheet of vellum-covered calligraphy slips out from in between the pages. I roll my eyes at the sight of the list of guests for the upcoming ball. Of course, how convenient. Conveniently annoying, yes, but still convenient. Well, it's not like I'm dying to learn about potions some more by any means, especially when I'm worrying about forming an alliance, so I suppose I should take a break and make good on my promise to take a quick look at the guest list. I slide the book back into place on the shelf and crouch down to pick up the list. 3 names are circled in red and immediately catch my eyes. Prince Snow of Snow Kingdom, imagine that. Prince Myrrh of Water Kingdom, and Prince Zell of Forest Kingdom. Interesting. If I remember correctly, their city-states are all fairly affluent and are located in nearby advantageous locations. If my parents are willing to disregard the benefits of a union with one of them, they must be pretty damn questionable. My lips climb into a grin. Curiosity is meant to be sated after all, and Nickel did ask me to look into guests. Whom should I research first? I'ma say Prince Snow. I turned my attention back to the name Prince Snow, Snow Kingdom on the list. I try to remember if I had met him before in previous balls, but I can vaguely recall a lad with silvery hair and startling blue eyes. That sounds pretty. If I'm not mistaken, Snow Kingdom is one of the biggest and richest kingdoms. It's also conveniently just to the north of our land. If we can secure a political alliance with Snow Kingdom and merge with them, it would save us from poverty. So why do my parents want me to stay away from them? I pondered this puzzling question for a moment longer before deciding to go find my parents and ask them. Why sit here guessing at the intent behind my parents' actions when I could just go directly to them and request an explanation? After running around the regrettably enormous place in search of my parents, I finally find them reading together in one of the many rooms. They look at me with identical indulgent smiles as they wait for me to catch my breath. And I don't know if they're going to appear or not, but apparently they're black silhouettes. King Jack, the black silhouette, says, "Charming, what do you wish to speak with us about?" I uncrumpled the guest list in my hand and pointed to Prince Snow's name on the scroll. Well, Nickel told me you marked the names of the lords that I should stay away from, but I was wondering why Prince Snow falls under this category. After all, isn't he the Prince of Snow Kingdom? Last I heard, it's a pretty awesome place. Mother starts shaking her head before I'm even done with my sentence. Charming, you must never consider marrying this man. He's not good enough for you. Father takes my mother's hand into his and speaks up. I agree with your mother. Yes, you are correct. Snow Kingdom could be a solution to all of our problems. However, latest circumstances have made Prince Snow an undesirable choice, which is rather unfortunate. I don't understand. I suppose your diplomacy teacher has not covered this issue yet. No. What is that old fool doing? Gretel, darling, remind me to look for a new teacher for Charming as soon as possible. He turns his attention back to me. Prince Snow, as you should know, is a skirt chaser, to say the least. Which, my child, is the biggest reason why we do not wish for you to have him as your husband. You deserve to marry someone who will respect you and be faithful to you, and Prince Snow is not a good candidate for that. Yes, however, the most important issue is that Prince Snow is no longer the crown prince. And in fact, that's the only reason, actually. My arrows shoot upwards. What happened? 3 years ago, because of the countless scandals arriving from his habits, Prince Snow was thrown out of the palace. His stepbrother, Prince Rigel, currently holds the title of Crown Prince and future king, which is all we really care about. Prince Snow was given until his stepbrother's 18th birthday to find a worthy maiden to settle down with, or else Prince Rigel will become the king when he becomes age of said. Shake my head again, even more confused. This does not mean that Prince Snow needs us as much as we need him. He needs a wife, I need a husband, problem solved. My child, politics is not as simple as that. It has to be as complicated as possible, and you cannot make too much sense. Especially since the king's wife, the mother of Prince Rigel, has been holding almost all the power in the recent years. As the king and queen jointly rule, as long as the king is still resting due to his deteriorating health from old age, the queen is in control. Do you think the queen would rather see her own son ascend the throne or Prince Snow? The most important issue still. My mother shoots my father a glare before continuing. Is that Prince Snow, even though he is a kind and charming man, will never be good enough for you, my child. Yes, of course. Charm, you must listen to us and stay away from him. Put him out of your mind at once. Seeing the anxious looks in my parents' faces, I decide to humor them by agreeing with them for now. Yes, mother and father. I smile agreeably as I curtsy and take my leave. As soon as the door closes behind me, I let my smile drop and my thoughtful expression show. Interesting. Sounds like Prince Snow needs a hero to help him out, and who better at that job than I am? I'm going to have to keep an eye out for him at the ball next week. Whose background should I look into next? Let's do the mermaid guy. My memory serves me right. Prince Mayor of the Water Kingdom disappeared almost 7 years ago without a trace. When he finally re-emerged weeks later, he was voiceless and somber, a pale shadow of the child he used to be. My eyes sparkle in excitement, although that's really messed up. The only thing that excites me more than curses is the possibility of being the great magician who breaks them. I want to learn more about Prince Mayor. I need to. And I know exactly who to consult. Finding Nickel takes a good half hour and way more dedication than I normally would have bothered to put in. He turns around with a hearty laugh and teasing glint in his eyes before I can say a word. As noisy as ever, I say, your footsteps are loud enough to shake the whole castle. It's a miracle that the castle hasn't collapsed already after years of your stomping. Observant as ever, I see. Your ears are keen enough to hear the ants crawling around. Even I can tell how pathetic my comeback was. Nickel leans against the wall and gives me a triumphant smirk. Well, I know you didn't thunder over here just to make small talk. What is it? You know me too well. Try guessing what I want from you two. Is it about the guest list for the ball? Close, a particular suitor. There is a beat of silence, and the awkwardness is so palpable that I find myself tripping over my next sentence. You offer to give me information on any of the guests I asked about, remember? That was the agreement made. You can't go back on your promise now. For a brief moment, Nickel's expression twists, but then his easy smile returns, making me wonder if I imagined the whole thing. Which suitor are we talking about? After all, there are so many on the list. You're gonna have to specify. Well, what do you know about Prince Mayor of Water Kingdom? He sounds like a lad in distress. You picked the most interesting suitor to ask me about. I expected no less from you. Interesting, how? Can you tell me how Prince Mayor is so special? Well, it took quite a bit of convincing from yours truly to get your parents to invite any of the circle suitors. Thanks to your efforts, by the way. Definitely added excitement. You're very welcome. Mayor is especially challenging to invite, though. Prince Snow is obnoxious but harmless. Prince Cell is too busy being locked up to do anything of note, but Mayor, they're all, really in distress. Sorry, Sims. Your refusal to call him a prince hasn't been lost on me. Thank the heavens for that. To be fair, I don't know of anything concrete. I've just heard rumors. Obviously, I know of numerous other fairies, and fairies love nothing more than magic-related gossip. Mayor is quite the dangerous one from what I've heard, so is he the bad boy? Actually, Mayor probably isn't cursed at all. What? Then how did he lose his voice and memories then? Trauma? Disease? I try not to let the disappointment show on my face, but Nick smirk tells me that he sees straight through my pretense. Hopefully I'm not actually very heartless. It's not that I don't pity the man, of course, but I was hoping for a source of his muteness to be more magic-related, such as a curse. Not only are curses a lot more interesting, but they are also more easily curable, by my hands at that. Not exactly. The most popular rumors whisper he sacrificed his own voice and memories, traded them for something more useful to him. Wait, he did what? Never mind. This is so much more exciting than the curse idea. Exactly what I just said. Well, possibly. Those who are capable of such trade are as strong as the fairies, but only the most wicked would actually go through with such bargains. Fairies so malicious would never agree to a trade that doesn't completely topple a nation or two. Whatever Mayor got in return can't be good. And from what I've heard from fairies who visited Water Kingdom and met him, he feels different now too. Wait, what? I don't know how to explain. Fairies just have a knack for sensing people's natures by just being around them. It's a fairy thing. You wouldn't understand. If he's so deadly, why'd you make my parents invite him? With danger comes excitement. You should know that better than anyone. And we're not keen to making sense. I give him a dubious stare, not buying the simple explanation. Truth be told, Mira is added purely for my sake. I may be a bit eager to see him at the ball. I finally get to see their dreaded, feared Mira in person. I'm going to try as best as I can to secretly approach him and try casting a few charms on him. Hopefully we'll get a quick glimpse into the details behind his appearance. Shaking my head, I can't help but chuckle at Nickel's sudden childish excitement. Well, good luck with that. You know, you're really starting to take after me. I hate to admit it, but you may be right. Well, make sure to tell me if you learn anything interesting. Maybe I'll do some research of my own, too, when it comes to him, across him at the ball. Nico freezes at my words. I cock my head at the abrupt change in his demeanor. What? Charming you can't. Oh god, my voice. Sorry, I really should have thought this through more beforehand. We don't know how exactly he's evil, but we know that there's something majorly off about him. We also know a confidence at his target with you, and you wanted to invite him to the ball for fun. I don't want you even letting him suspect that you know something's off about him. We don't know what he'll do to protect himself, especially when given that he may be more willing to hurt you to begin with. Why don't we just leave the guy alone? I'm nowhere as near as important as the crown princess of this nation, and Mayor gains little to nothing from manipulating or harming me. I'll try my best to be safe too, though. But Charming, most importantly, even if you don't listen to anything else, listen to this. No matter what, you mustn't, you can't, select Mayor as your potential husband, and that's final. Understood? Of course, I'm not that naive. Nickel sighs in relief. Of course, I trust you, but I just wanted to confirm this to put my mind at ease. Your magic is powerful, but I don't know if any of us are equipped to go against Mayor when we know absolutely nothing about him. I nod and we move on to happier topics. After a short while of additional chit-chat, Nickel is summoned by my parents. It's time for me to research some more. And we'll do last Princell. My eyes shift to Princell's name on the list. Princell, if my memory serves me right, he was the crown prince of Forest Kingdom. However, he was kidnapped by an evil witch when he was a child and never returned. Since then, his kingdom has fallen to chaos and the king and queen were overthrown, resulting in an anarchy instead of a monarchy. Why would my parents put him on the list? Nobody has heard from Princell in years. Most have assumed he's dead. I don't even know how we'd send him the invitation. I trace the strokes of his name on the scroll of my thumb. You look like such a distressed lad. Poor lad. If anyone needs saving, it's definitely him. I wish there's something I could do for him. I have a saving complex, you see. A very vague memory suddenly pops into my head. Well, weren't there some rumors about his location and the failed rescue attempts? Where have I heard about this before? I immediately rush off to the best place to find answers, the library. I glance at the title of the book before throwing it aside. No, not this one. Where is it? I sigh in frustration and glare at the ever-growing pile of useless books. I remember the name of the book vaguely. It has to be here somewhere. I try to pull another book from the shelf, but it stays stuck. When I tug on it harder, a whole new roll of books slide off the shelf and fall to the ground with a loud crash. Cursing under my breath, I gather the books in a pile. That's a cute-ass cat. Wait. I stare at the name of the book at the top of the pile. 100 Famous Folklores and Poems. Yes, that's exactly what I was looking for. Flipping through the pages, I scan through the content quickly until I find a poem about the Princell. I let out a triumphant cheer. Found it! Ha! My memory is perfect. I'm such a genius that I amaze myself sometimes. Settling into a comfortable position on the floor and leaning against a pile of books, I read the poem carefully. The treasure. Deep in the pockets of a valley of trees, named after Elwood, the famous knight, there lies gnarled branches in a twisted dance, blades of grass of frightening height. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm skipping to the end. You can pause if you want to read it. A legend of a prince with a cruel fate. I see. I quickly memorized the poem in case I ever need the information again. just memorize the entire 2 pages of text, casually. Before I close the book and return it to the shelf, I can't resist brushing my fingers against the illustration of Rincel on the page. Maybe one day, I'll save you. Well, my research here is done. I think I've learned all I need to know about the 3 princes. It's getting pretty late. Maybe I should just call it a day and get some rest. I stifle a yawn and start walking back to my room for some beauty sleep. Oh, I'm so pretty! Alright, guys. I'm gonna go ahead and save it there, since we're gonna start with the ball. But if you like this, go ahead and leave a like. If you have any suggestions for games, leave them below. And if you'd like to subscribe, go ahead. I really appreciate it. I am excited to play this game because it looks very nice and it's very pretty, and actually it was technically free, but when you download this from the site, I'll link it down below, you can choose to donate any amount to the developer, which I strongly encourage you guys do, especially since they let such a pretty game and a surprisingly well-made game that I see so far free for people to play. Yeah, so again, I'll leave that link down below, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.